Good afternoon and welcome to another amazing episode of Peace Zone with Peace Ambassadors on your favorite channel, Kaftan TV Abuja. And as I will always ask you, how are you doing today? I hope you're peaceful with yourself, others, and the environment. Hope you are ensuring justice, security, and development in your space. And on Peace Zone today, we'll be looking at Sudan conflict situation and its implication on peace and security of Africa. I'm Moses Abolade, your peace building facilitator and host. On this episode, we'll be looking at what is going on currently in Sudan. I'll be looking at different contexts. You know, we have been doing a series. Last week, we did something around the northern Nigeria. But because of the situation happening in Sudan, and because of this show is dedicated for conflict issues and how we can live peacefully with ourselves, it's important we are doing this. So on this show today, we'll be looking at different things that have happened in Sudan and how it affects different people. Notably, Peace Zone is a program designed and implemented by Peace Education and Practice Network, PEPNET, in partnership with Kaftan TV Abuja. For comment on Peace Zone, you can send your thought on the discussion via peacezone2023@gmail.com. For sponsorship, you can also contact +2348109661910. Because of time, we'll just go straight into what we are discussing today, which is the Sudan conflict and what has happened so far. I have on standby our guest who is ready to give us a great exposition into it. We have two of them, but I think one of them is available right now, and I just believe that he can hear me right now. The person of Mr. Elisha Bello. I would like to introduce him. Good to see you, Mr. Elisha. Now, let me introduce Mr. Elisha to you. Elisha is a conflict and security expert with over 7 years of experience working in Nigeria, South Sudan, Somalia, and Libya. He has worked for various international humanitarian organizations where he has applied his expertise to promote peace, security, and stability in conflict-affected regions in Africa. Good to see you, Mr. Elisha, sorry.
Mr. Moses, good evening. This is me, Ahmed Salah.
Oh, this is Ahmed, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it is Ahmed standing by. Good to have you on standby. We have two of them, and possibly let me just introduce Ahmed for the fact that we have him on standby. Ahmed Salah Osman Bebeke is an experienced protection and emergency response team member who is passionate about humanitarian work. He has over 6 years of experience in the field with United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, and Norwegian Refugee Council and NRC, working on various projects in complex and volatile contexts in different locations in Sudan. Ahmad, good to see you.
Hi, Moses. Good evening. Good to see you.
Okay. How is Sudan today? Hi, Sudan.
Sudan is unfortunately so sorry to start with this situation. The situation is very hard in Sudan. The conflict is ongoing now. And Sudanese are in Khartoum, especially, they are fleeing the country to another states within the country, and some of them they are fleeing and seeking asylum in the neighboring countries like Egypt, Chad, South Sudan, and here also in the east. The humanitarian situation is very, very critical because the humanitarian organization most of them are in hold now. The evacuation of the foreign to their homes. So Sudanese are suffering. They are really suffering.
Yeah, it's so sad to hear this, and we are really we empathize with what's going on over there. You're from Nigeria. So let's go into some of the questions before we go into what you've started with. You started on an emotional note, and I'm getting emotional already. But knowing that the ongoing conflict in Sudan has its root in a complex historical, political, economic, and social factors that have been playing in the country for many decades now. Ahmad, I would like us to discuss the overview of the conflict situation in general.
Yeah, historically, this conflict it has like a lot of factors and a lot of reasons. It have been tension between the RSF and the Sudanese army. It's throughout 10 years right now. But finally, what we are focusing on that we are this conflict been resulted as this situation. All what we are thinking about and focusing on now this humanitarian situation. RSF and the Sudanese army forces, they were partners before they were on the same side in the agreement that they have signed with civilians in Sudan. They were working together with the civilians movements and parties to get the democratic change. But now this has been like boycotted or cut by this war, which is started now more than 11 days. Uh, there was some ceasefire, but it wasn't respected. So despite this ceasefire, still the shooting are ongoing. Sudanese, they are struggling now inside Khartoum. They are struggling even to get basic needs.
So sad, I must say again. And but before we go into the current ceasefire situation we have, we know we want people to understand the context of the conflict, and we also want them to understand stakeholders that are involved in the conflict, for them to have the clear understanding of what got us here. And we know the issue between the Transitional Sovereignty Council of Sudan, which was established after the ouster of the former President Omar al-Bashir. On one side, the two rival generals, the General Abdel Fattah Burhan, who is leading the Sudanese military, and the General Muhammad Hamdan Dagola, the general referred to as Emeti. We want to know other stakeholders who are involved in this conflict before we go straight into other things you're mentioning as regards the evacuation of people of different nationals in Sudan right now.
Okay. So it's as I have mentioned, it's very complicated because the RSF they have been created or found in 2013 for the purpose of just like dismissing or fighting against the army movement in Darfur. Then, when the revolution took place in Khartoum, Hamiti he deployed many of his forces to Khartoum, and he like stand or stood by the revolution. He supported the revolution, and after Umar al-Bashir, the former minister, have called down the Hamiti, the leader of the RSF. He was in partnership with Al-Burhan, and they were working together in the same site. Then there was also a big crisis on the headquarters in Khartoum, where the sitting
Okay.
was Sudanese was sitting. Yeah, there
I'm with you. Continue.
sitting have been yes sitting have been attacked by the government forces. Uh, Hemeti and Burhan, they are suspected and they are partners together. So during that tension and that period, there was agreement between the civilians and the military council. In the military council, Hemeti, he was the deputy of Burhan. So recently, like 2 weeks ago, we saw some leaders from the Egyptian army. They were in Marawi in northern Sudan. In the airport, they had a joint exercise with Sudanese army. Hemiti, like he deployed his forces to Marawi because he afraid there is something behind, and Sudanese army have declared that Hemiti should withdraw from that location unless or otherwise there will be military conflict, and this is what it led to ongoing conflict now. Uh, right now, both of the sides, the conflict sides, they are insist to not sit down for the negotiations, despite of all the initiatives and the or what the countries that surround Sudan, also the African countries, US also. There are some. Last one is IGAD initiative, but still we didn't hear any like response from RSF regarding the initiative of the IGAD. Sudanese army, they have declared that they are initially agreed. Then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs lately, recently they declared and they said that we are not going to sit in any negotiation.
Ahmad, can you hear me? Yeah, so we will
Yes,
just
I'm
go on a
hearing you. Do
short
you?
break right now because of time. I know we have a lot of things to say, but
Yeah.
it's indeed tragic what we're seeing in Sudan right now. And this is a call to remind everyone that conflict prevention is better than the sacrifices paid for conflict emergence. Kindly stay tuned as we go on a short break. Thank you. From that short break, and I want to say I believe that you are enjoying the conversation. There is a tragic concern on what is going on in Sudan right now, and the entire Africa. We are really in deep tragic mood for people who have lost their life in that conflict. So let's move on. Ahmad, are you there? Okay, Elisha. Oh, good to have you, Elisha, on the show. Good to see
Hi,
you.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'm
Well,
glad you have.
yeah, glad to have you here. So, Elisha, let's just go straight into the other part of it. I've introduced you earlier. Elisha is a conflict and security expert working in Nigeria, South Sudan, Libya, and some aspect of or some regions which is in Eastern Africa. And I believe is going to be continuing what Ahmad has started. So let's just go straight to the situation of things. So possibly you can just start with the overview of what has happened so far and how it relates to Africans generally.
All right. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on this great show and to talk about the conflict and the security situation in Sudan. Five of Sudan neighbors countries, as we all know, the Ethiopia, Chad, and the Central African Republic and Libya, including the South Sudan, they have their own dynamics of conflict. But let's look at it critically. What is Sudan going to contribute to the entire African region and civilian entirely? First of all, we all know that this fire, it has erupted between the army and paramilitary rapid response force on Saturday in Khartoum, has derailed an international backed plan, which, if you look at it critically, you will know that this is something that has an interest, or let's say is a conflict of two giants that are protecting their interests and their territory. And we cannot shy away from the reality that what they are after is control of power and also the economy so that it will favor them. I look at it critically over the days and I realize this happens when people in Sudan are trying to settle down in between the 2019 crisis and also this 2023 crisis. When you look at it critically, you will realize that people were trying to settle down, and businesses are thriving, if you check very well. And by this current incident, it shows that the life of many will be affected, especially those at the urban center, because now the intent of this crisis is in the capital territory, of which is very concerned. It will block access to a lot of social amenities, even to those at the rural areas. So generally, I will say it's not a good thing now for the civilians in Sudan and also the neighboring country, coupled with the fact that most of these neighboring country, they share a lot of commonalities and businesses with Sudan. Let's talk about the River Nile, where Egypt mostly considered that with Sudan to sign the MOU so that there will be inflow of businesses, and that will also affect a lot of civilians. Coming back to also to the other parts with Chad and also looking at the area of Libya. So all these things will affect the civilians because it will affect the daily activities and day-to-day businesses of people in Sudan.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Elisha, I know we have a long way to go. Possibly, we just hope that the conflict will de-escalate as soon as possible. However, we might still have another opportunity of doing justice to this concern. But in few minutes, I want you to discuss how this affects the Nigerian community. We've heard about students being trapped, people feeling that they are not being catered for. We know that the international, other immigrants and everybody, they are already evacuating people. So how does it relate to Nigeria, our international relationship, and our foreign affairs in general?
Yeah, it really affects us because from all indications and the situation that transpired over the couple of days, we realized that the Sudanese government did not listen to our embassy in Sudan to even accept some of the things or some of the support Nigerians need in Sudan. I think that shows a lack of respect to some extent to Nigerian authority because we have been monitoring the situation. We notice a lot of countries that have been granted that support when the window for the ceasefire was announced. But that of Nigeria, we follow up and we realize that they refuse to give access for discussion to the Nigerian embassy for the support. That is why some of the citizens, Nigerian citizens in Sudan, took it upon themselves going through the borders so that they can escape fear of unknown and nobody want to be a victim. So definitely it affected us, and for me, it affected our relationship with Sudan based on what happened. Because yes.
Yeah, because of time, I know we have much to discuss, but I would just in last words from you. I want you to talk on what do you think the parties concerned to do in one or two sentences.
All right. The party should respect international humanitarian law and also should respect human rights, the both parties, because doing so will give a sense of belonging and relief to the civilian because they are the end recipient of each crisis. So we are so much concerned about the civilians and the good citizens of South Sudan. So we are calling on the two parties to consider that given that protection to the civilian is very, very essential at this moment, regardless of their personal interests. Thank you.
That is very germane. The parties should try to come together and resolve. Thank you very much. Thanks to Ahmed from Sudan, and thanks to Elisha from Calabar. You are so appreciated for coming on the show, and I want to say a big thank you to the management crew that has made this happen, that of Kaftan and that of PepNet, that has made this a success. I really want to appreciate everybody that put their hands together to make this work. And I want to say again, please, it is high time we spend time, resources, and effort in peace building. Try your best to do everything possible for us to have peace in the entire globe. I want to say till next time that we join again on Peace Zone, please stay peaceful, stay secured, and stay developed. Thank you. Bye for now.